Welcome, everyone, to today's discussion on a powerful and transformative concept in Buddhism, emotional detachment. We live in a world that is often filled with noise, chaos, and constant challenges. It's easy to get swept away by emotions, whether it's anger, fear, sadness, or even happiness. But what if I told you there's a way to find inner peace, no matter how turbulent life becomes? That way is emotional detachment. Now, before you start thinking that emotional detachment means shutting yourself off from your feelings, or worse, becoming indifferent or cold, let me clarify. Emotional detachment in Buddhism is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about understanding your emotions without being ruled by them. It's the ability to observe what you're feeling in the present moment, and then choose how to respond without reacting impulsively or letting your emotions control your actions. Imagine a situation where you're confronted with a stressful challenge, or perhaps you find yourself in a heated argument. In those moments, it's easy to let anger or frustration take the wheel, right? But what if you could step back, take a deep breath, and simply observe what's happening inside you without letting it dictate your response? That's emotional detachment in action. It doesn't mean you're ignoring your feelings, rather, it means you're practicing the awareness and mindfulness to recognize your emotions as they arise, without allowing them to define or dominate you. This is where Buddhism offers profound wisdom. In the teachings of the Buddha, emotional detachment is often referred to as the practice of non-attachment or detachment from the ego. The Buddha taught that our suffering often comes from attachment to people, situations, and yes, even to our emotions. When we become attached to a certain emotion, whether it's anger, desire, or even sorrow, we give it power over us. It controls our behavior and thoughts, often leading us into unhealthy cycles of stress, frustration, or regret. But here's the liberating part: through mindful observation, we can break free from this cycle. Buddhism teaches us that we don't have to be slaves to our emotions. Instead, we can learn to sit with them, watch them come and go like waves in the ocean, and choose not to let them define our reactions or our decisions. This is what leads to true emotional freedom, a sense of calm and stability that no external event can shake. It might sound simple, but the practice of emotional detachment requires patience and dedication. It's not about pushing emotions away or pretending to be unaffected. Instead, it's about cultivating the awareness to recognize when we're becoming overwhelmed, and then practicing the discipline to pause, breathe, and respond mindfully. One of the key tools Buddhism offers for this practice is meditation. Meditation helps us strengthen our ability to observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming entangled in them. Through mindfulness meditation, we train our minds to be more present and less reactive, which leads to greater emotional balance and inner peace. It's like strengthening a muscle over time. You get better at noticing when your emotions start to rise, and you develop the ability to let them pass without getting caught up in them. As you practice emotional detachment, you might begin to notice that you feel more grounded, more peaceful, and less affected by the ups and downs of life. You'll start to realize that your emotions don't have to dictate your actions or your sense of well-being. Instead of reacting impulsively, you can choose how to respond, based on wisdom and awareness. The Buddhist path to emotional detachment isn't about rejecting emotions or pretending they don't matter. It's about finding a balanced relationship with them. It's about being in touch with your feelings, while also maintaining a sense of inner calm. It's the ability to experience life fully without letting your emotions take over or steal your peace. So, in this video, we'll explore how emotional detachment works in Buddhist teachings and how you can apply it in your own life. We'll look at practical ways to cultivate mindfulness, how to observe your emotions without judgment, and how to find freedom from the emotional storms that often arise. The ultimate goal? To achieve a sense of balance and inner peace that will help you navigate life with greater calm and clarity, no matter what challenges come your way. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this discussion helps you take the first step toward emotional freedom, and that the teachings of Buddhism can inspire you to live a life of greater peace, stability, and mindfulness. Let's dive deeper into the journey of emotional detachment and discover how it can lead to a more fulfilling, balanced life. Let's dive deeper into the profound teachings of Buddhism and how they guide us to cultivate emotional detachment. We've all experienced moments where our emotions take over, whether it's a burst of anger, a wave of sadness, or even a surge of joy. It's easy to become swept up in these feelings, allowing them to dictate our behavior and responses. But according to Buddhist teachings, our attachment to emotions, whether they are perceived as positive or negative, can lead to suffering. This is where emotional detachment plays a key role in transforming how we engage with our feelings. At the core of Buddhist philosophy lies the concept of tanha, often translated as desire or craving. This is one of the primary causes of suffering in the Buddhist worldview. In the context of emotions, tanha refers to the way we cling to our feelings, whether we seek to hold onto pleasant emotions like happiness or rush to push away negative ones like anger or fear. This attachment is a trap. It keeps us locked in a cycle of craving and aversion, constantly chasing after pleasure and avoiding pain. But in doing so, we create a tension that prevents us from experiencing true peace. Emotional detachment, as taught by Buddhism, is not about suppressing our emotions or pretending they don't exist. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's about acknowledging our emotions fully, without judgment or resistance. It's about understanding that emotions are transient by nature. They rise and fall, like waves on the ocean. Just as we cannot hold onto a wave once it crashes, we cannot hold onto an emotion once it has passed through us. The practice of emotional detachment invites us to accept our emotions, not as permanent parts of our identity, but as temporary visitors. Picture this for a moment. Imagine you're standing on the shore of a river. The water is flowing gently by, carrying leaves and twigs downstream. Now, imagine that the river represents your thoughts and emotions. Each feeling, whether it's a fleeting moment of joy, a sudden burst of frustration, or a lingering sadness, is like one of those leaves drifting by on the water. What would happen if, instead of grabbing at every leaf that floats by, you simply observe it, allowing it to float past without clinging to it? This is the essence of emotional detachment. By adopting this mindset, we shift our relationship with our emotions. We stop viewing them as permanent forces that define us. Instead, we begin to see them for what they truly are: temporary experiences that arise and then fade away. Just as the leaves are carried by the river and eventually disappear from view, so too do our emotions come and go. They don't last forever, and they don't need to control us. The practice of emotional detachment in Buddhism also teaches us to develop mindful awareness, the ability to observe our thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them. This mindfulness allows us to create a space between the feeling and our reaction to it. It's like having a pause button for our emotions. In that moment of awareness, we have the power to choose how we want to respond, rather than automatically reacting based on the intensity of the feeling. This process doesn't happen overnight. It takes patience and consistent practice. But the more we cultivate mindfulness, the more we begin to understand the impermanent nature of our emotions. We start to notice the subtle shift from feeling overwhelmed to feeling in control. This doesn't mean we stop feeling or that our emotions vanish. It means we stop allowing them to control us. We can feel deeply, but not be consumed by those feelings. And this is the path to inner peace. Buddhism encourages us to develop a kind of emotional resilience and ability to face life's challenges without becoming overwhelmed by them. By practicing emotional detachment, we begin to build that resilience. We become more adept at navigating difficult situations with grace and calm, rather than being swept away by the current of our emotions. One of the key practices in Buddhism that helps us develop this emotional detachment is meditation. Through meditation, we learn to observe our thoughts and feelings from a place of stillness. We create a space of non-judgment where we can experience our emotions without clinging to them. Over time, this practice deepens our understanding of the impermanence of all things, including our emotions. It helps us to let go of the desire to control or hold onto any feeling, allowing us to simply be present with whatever arises. When we start to embrace emotional detachment, we begin to notice the freedom it brings. We no longer feel trapped by our emotions. Instead, we develop a sense of balance, where we can experience emotions fully but without becoming overwhelmed. We begin to realize that we are not our emotions. We are the observer, watching them come and go like leaves on a river. And in that space of observation, we find a deep sense of peace and clarity. Emotional detachment doesn't mean becoming numb or indifferent. It means developing a healthier relationship with our feelings. We learn to honor our emotions without letting them dictate our actions or state of mind. We learn to live in a state of emotional freedom, where we can be present with life's ups and downs, but always remain grounded in our inner peace. So, as we continue our journey through Buddhism's teachings on emotional detachment, I invite you to reflect on your own relationship with your emotions. Are you clinging to them, either in attachment or aversion? Are you letting your feelings control your reactions? By cultivating mindfulness and understanding the impermanence of emotions, you can begin to free yourself from the cycle of emotional attachment, leading to a more peaceful and balanced life. In the next part, we'll explore some practical techniques to help you implement emotional detachment in your own life. From meditation practices to mindfulness exercises, these tools will help you strengthen your ability to observe and detach from your emotions, ultimately guiding you towards a state of greater peace and emotional freedom. Let's continue this transformative journey together. In Buddhism, one of the most transformative practices we can engage in to master our emotions is meditation. Meditation isn't just a passive activity, it is an active, intentional practice that helps us cultivate emotional control, foster inner peace, and develop a deep sense of awareness. Imagine for a moment that you're standing in the middle of a busy street. There are cars zooming by, people rushing past you, and noises constantly bombarding your senses. Now, picture yourself standing there, calm and undisturbed, fully aware of the chaos around you but not caught up in it. This is what meditation allows us to do with our emotions. It teaches us to stand in the midst of life's storms without being swept away by them. Meditation, particularly practices like vipassana or mindfulness meditation, are powerful tools for gaining emotional detachment. The very essence of these practices is about creating space. When we meditate, we train our minds to pause before reacting. Instead of responding immediately to a trigger, whether it's anger, frustration, or sadness, we learn to step back, observe, and reflect. This practice of mindfulness allows us to separate stimulus from response, enabling us to choose how we respond rather than being driven by impulse. We stop reacting automatically, and instead, we begin to respond with calmness, clarity, and intentionality. This is a skill that requires consistent practice, as the mind doesn't simply change overnight. It's a journey that takes time, patience, and commitment. The more we meditate, the more we begin to notice the subtle nuances of our emotions. We begin to recognize that our feelings aren't inherently good or bad, they are simply sensations that arise in our bodies and minds. When anger arises, we don't suppress it or try to ignore it. Instead, we observe it. We notice how it feels in our body, where it manifests, and the thoughts that accompany it. We acknowledge its presence without attaching to it. This is where the power of meditation lies, in our ability to experience emotions without letting them control us. With regular meditation, we begin to realize that we are not our emotions. We are the observer of our emotions. When sadness comes, we don't let it define our entire day. When stress or anxiety rises, we don't let it overwhelm us. We simply observe it, accept it, and let it pass. This sense of emotional detachment is not about pushing away our feelings or pretending they don't exist. It's about developing a healthy relationship with our emotions, understanding them without becoming consumed by them. We create space between ourselves and our feelings, allowing us to respond to them with wisdom and balance. One of the most profound aspects of meditation is its ability to help us become more aware of our physical body. Often, our emotions are felt as physical sensations in the body, a tightness in the chest, a knot in the stomach, a racing heartbeat. Through meditation, we begin to notice these sensations before they escalate into full-blown emotional reactions. We learn to catch ourselves in the moment, before our emotions take over. This awareness gives us the power to pause, take a deep breath, and reset. It's in these moments that we can choose to remain calm, even when everything around us seems to be falling apart. But let's be clear, this process isn't instantaneous. It's not a quick fix. Meditation is a practice, and like any skill, it requires dedication and persistence. At first, you might find it difficult to sit still for long periods or to quiet your mind. You might feel frustration or restlessness. But with time, you'll notice changes, subtle at first, but real. Over time, you'll become more attuned to your emotions, more aware of your thoughts, and more in control of your responses. You'll learn that you have the ability to maintain a sense of peace and clarity, no matter the circumstances. This isn't just theory, this is a reality that many people who practice Buddhism have experienced. It's not about suppressing your emotions or denying them, it's about allowing them to be there without letting them define you. Through meditation, we learn that we can be both fully human, with all our emotions and experiences, and still maintain a sense of inner peace. We become more resilient, more centered, and more capable of responding to life with wisdom and compassion. In a world that constantly demands our attention and pulls us in 1,000 different directions, meditation offers a sanctuary of peace. It's a reminder that we don't have to be controlled by our emotions. We don't have to be at the mercy of our reactions. Meditation helps us take back control, not by fighting against our emotions but by embracing them with awareness and compassion. Through consistent practice, we cultivate the emotional control that allows us to live with a sense of calm and clarity, no matter what life throws our way. So, the next time you feel your emotions rising, take a moment to pause. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and remember, you have the power to choose how you respond. Through meditation, you can cultivate the space between stimulus and reaction, allowing you to approach life's challenges with calmness and wisdom. This is the gift that Buddhism offers, the ability to observe your emotions without being controlled by them, to maintain inner peace no matter the external circumstances. And in that space, you find true emotional freedom. Emotional detachment, when understood and practiced within the context of Buddhism, is not about disconnecting from your feelings or shutting yourself off from the world. Rather, it's about cultivating a profound understanding of your emotions and creating space between what you feel and how you respond. It's the recognition that emotions, while real and impactful, are not permanent, they are transient. And through this realization, we unlock the door to something far more powerful, inner peace. Think for a moment about the emotional roller coaster many of us experience daily. One moment we're on top of the world, elated and full of joy. The next moment, we're plunged into despair, consumed by anger or fear. Our emotions often dictate our decisions, our reactions, and even our interactions with others. We act impulsively, letting our feelings control us, and in doing so, we lose touch with our true selves. In these moments, peace seems elusive, as if it's always just out of reach. But what if we could break free from this cycle? What if we could experience emotions without being ruled by them? This is where emotional detachment comes in. In Buddhism, emotional detachment is not about rejecting emotions, it's about not being enslaved by them. We learn that our emotions are like waves in the ocean, sometimes calm and still, sometimes turbulent and stormy. But just like the ocean, they are temporary. They rise and they fall. They come and they go. And we, as the observers, can choose whether to get caught up in the wave or simply watch it pass. When we practice emotional detachment, we begin to see our emotions for what they truly are, temporary experiences that do not define us. Fear, anger, happiness, they all come and go, like clouds passing through the sky. And just as the sky remains unchanged despite the passing clouds, we too can remain calm and centered despite the ebb and flow of our emotions. This ability to detach from our emotions doesn't mean we suppress or deny them. Instead, it means we observe them without judgment, without becoming entangled in them. When we let go of the need to react to every emotional stimulus, we free ourselves from the constant pull of our feelings. We no longer live in reaction mode, constantly responding to the fluctuations of our inner world. Instead, we begin to act from a place of clarity, wisdom, and intention. We recognize that emotions are not facts, they are simply signals, messages from our body and mind. And we have the power to choose how we respond to those signals. This is the essence of true peace in Buddhism. Inner peace is not found in the absence of emotion, but in our ability to navigate our emotions with balance and understanding. It's found in the ability to accept our feelings without becoming consumed by them, to observe them without judgment, and to release them when they no longer serve us. Inner peace comes from the recognition that we are not our emotions, we are the observer of them. We are not controlled by them, we are free to choose our response. When we practice emotional detachment, we begin to live in harmony with the present moment. Instead of being pulled in different directions by the ups and downs of our emotions, we learn to live in the here and now. We stop living in reaction to the past or anxiety about the future. We embrace the present moment, with all its imperfections and uncertainties, and find peace in the acceptance of what is. This is not a passive acceptance, it's an active choice to be present, to be mindful, and to let go of the need to control everything around us. The practice of emotional detachment also helps us cultivate compassion, both for ourselves and for others. When we stop being controlled by our emotions, we can respond to others with empathy and understanding, rather than from a place of frustration or anger. We can listen with an open heart, free from judgment or preconceived notions. And in doing so, we create space for true connection, not based on emotional reactions, but on genuine understanding and respect. Emotional detachment is a pathway to liberation. It is the freedom to experience life fully without being swept away by the storm of our emotions. It's the freedom to respond to life with grace, wisdom, and compassion. And ultimately, it's the freedom to experience the deep, unshakable peace that comes from knowing that we are not defined by our emotions, but by our ability to observe, accept, and release them. This is the true power of emotional detachment. It is the gateway to inner peace, the ability to live in harmony with the present moment, and the freedom to be at peace with ourselves, no matter what life throws our way. In a world that constantly pushes us to react, to feel, and to respond, emotional detachment offers us the opportunity to step back, observe, and choose a response that aligns with our deepest values and wisdom. So, as you go through your daily life, remember this: your emotions are not you. They are simply experiences passing through. And with practice, you can learn to witness them without getting caught up in them. You can cultivate emotional detachment and, in doing so, unlock the peace that lies within you. Because true peace, according to Buddhism, is not found outside of us, but within. And it begins with the simple, yet profound, act of letting go.